time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar away. And if the dark clouds start to swirl, don't feel a shed a tear, 'cause I'll be your one-up girl. So let's all jump up super high, high up in the sky. There's no power up like dancing. You know that you're my superstar, so no one else can take me this far. I'm flipping the switch, get ready for this, so let's do the Odyssey.
Greetings all, I'm Mario VR, and welcome back to Legacy of Super Mario Bros. Retrospective on the games and history of the Super Mario Bros. Franchise. Last time, we looked at Super Mario Bros. 2 in America, and came to the conclusion that, well, while it wasn't as good as the successor, Super Mario Bros., it was still really, really good for Nintendo. And in 1989, we're gonna now move away from the NES and go on to our first handheld, the Game Boy. So, Mario Land is a Mario game, definitely, but it's really, really weird, because it wasn't actually made by the main Mario game company that makes the games for Nintendo. Yeah, Super Mario Land is very, very different from your normal Mario game. It doesn't take place in the Mushroom Kingdom. It has a really strange plot, and it's just really, really weird. And it actually connects to another game we're going to talk about really soon. Anyway, well, Mario Land is definitely a very interesting oddball of a game in this franchise, because, well, it's just kind of forgettable. But let's see if it really deserves that today, as we check out the shortest game in the series, Mario Land. Before that, it's best that we actually go into the history of this game. Okay, now this is the first game in the series where I don't really have that much information to go off of. Closest I can say is pretty much, well, the first game made money, so let's make another one. But I'm pretty sure Nintendo decided that if you want to play Mario on the go, then what if we make Mario for the Game Boy? There was just one tiny problem. The Game Boy did not have much RAM and couldn't really handle something like how the NES or Super NES, which is going to come out soon, who can handle. So, how could we make a Mario game on this that can't handle that much type of RAM? Well, that's what Nintendo had to deal with. They slashed almost everything. The regular Mario music, gone. Peach, gone. Bowser, gone. A number of levels nearly disintegrated. Because you know how many levels are in this game? 12. Yeah, that's right. There are only 12 levels in Super Mario Land, spread across 4 worlds. 3 per world. And yeah, it's a pretty short game. You can probably beat the entire thing in under an hour. And hey, I tried it, and we're gonna see if it could really hold up. So, without further ado, let's jump into the first level of Super Mario Land. The first level of Super Mario Land is actually pretty simple. You have some mushrooms, you have blocks, and without further ado, by looking at the backgrounds, you can definitely tell that it's a desert. Anyway, you can actually go on this warp zone. It's a bit of a callback to Super Mario Bros., which is pretty neat, I must say. Anyway, after that, you can get in a question mark block, and then we see our first Goomba. After this, you can actually hit these blocks, and I'm actually starting to notice now that this level kind of feels a lot more like a desert-themed version of 1-1 rather than its own level. But it's still cool in its own right. Oh yeah, and this is actually a different version of the Firefly. We'll have to shoot balls instead. That sounds kind of wrong if you put it in the wrong way, but yeah. I forgot what it's saying, but I'm pretty sure it's called Powerball. If you don't know, let me know in the comments. Anyway, there's another warp zone out here. It was actually a first. Like, I don't think I've ever seen this happen 2 times in one single level. But anyway, you can go in here, and when I say one level, I mean, like, so far. But, like, you can keep going, and you see whatever that is. And you see another Goomba, and it's just a really nice level. Oh, yeah, and you have the star. Also, I don't know if you can hear it, but he actually plays the Can theme. Yeah, I just let it play for a minute. But yeah, anyway, after this, you can continue for the level, you can kill more enemies, and that's the Sphinx Square. That lets you know, yes, this is the desert, and it's just really fun, actually. You can get some more coins, and this tall tower is actually a pretty good reference to the original Super Mario Bros. Ending. But the gold poles are just gone now. You just, like, climb up here and just go into the end of the level. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then the timer just counts down your score until the end. So, yeah, that's the first level of the entire game. But despite everything I said that's good about this level, I do have one small nitpick about this game that kind of brings it down a bit on the margin. That being that it's kind of easy. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand that they have to limit the hardware and how the game can play so it can fit the Game Boy's RAM, but I just kind of feel like it's a little too easy for a Mario game like this. I mean, sure, the first level of Super Mario Bros. Was easy, but that was intentionally made easy. This one feels just easy to be easy, if that makes sense. And it doesn't help how after almost every single level, if you get to the top part, you get to play a bonus minigame like this. Now, don't get me wrong, I can totally understand seeing the Powerball and the one life being in here as a bonus minigame, but really, 2 1-ups and free 1-ups are here as well. This would only make... Now, actually, I know what you're thinking. Some of you may know that in another game we'll get to in the future, New Super Mario Bros. U, this game actually gives you plenty of 1-ups, but that's because it works there, which is just, I'm gonna let you guys know right now, it works in that game because, first off, the game is actually difficult, and secondly, it has a risk-reward system to it, where if you get too many Bowsers, you don't get any at all. But here, it's just prizes, and it doesn't help how they're, like, really good, and you get them, like, almost after every single level if you get to the top part. Now, I guess it would make sense that you have to get to the top part because it adds some kind of risk, but not after every single level, dude. I think it would be better if it was, like, at least at the end of each world. That way it doesn't feel too bad, because I'm pretty sure it couldn't make it any more easy since, well, first off, it's literally the first level of the game, and secondly, along with that, well, it's just... they didn't have enough RAM for the Game Boy to make the game that hard. But that's enough of that. How about we go on to the first boss fight and see how it compares to this. The final level of World 1 is actually a pretty interesting one. It takes place inside this giant temple with a bunch of weird hieroglyphics on the walls. And no, this is not a glitch what's happening right now. It's intentional, you can tell, because, well, there's coins right over there, so it's obviously intentional. There wouldn't be coins up there if you couldn't get them. Anyway, you also go down this pipe for another shortcut, and what do you know? There's more coins in the bricks, and you can actually make your way for the rest of the level like this. And I'll be honest with you guys, there's actually another power-up in here. It's the fireball. I mean, the Powerball, whatever it's called, whatever. But yeah, you can basically come in here, and after this, you can make your way for the rest of the level. So you can just hop around these plants, and I think those are called Venus flytraps. I think those are meant to be like Venus flytraps, not piranha plants in this game, but who knows. Anyway, after this, you can watch out for some falling blocks, which is a little unexpected, but it sets it apart. If there's a Sphinx enemy, you can dodge all of these stuff, get some more power-ups, and stuff like that. But yeah, this level actually is really detailed, but once again, all the shortcuts and the warp zones make it a bit too easy for my liking. But either way, you can get some more coins in this room, and quite a lot actually. If you count, that's like 6 rows of 4, so that's 24 coins right over there. Yeah, this is actually really babying the player here, but it's not even their fault because the game has to be easy. Anyway, the heart is actually an extra life. Yep, they don't have any mana mushrooms. Sorry, guys. Anyway, after this, you can make your way for this level. And by the way, those are Koopa Troopas, but their shells, yeah, they blow up, which is insane. And what do you know? Looks like our player lost a life. Anyway, after this, you can make your way for the rest of the level. Watch out for some more falling bricks. Grab a mushroom, which is very good in this case. Now we can just continue through, and yep, here we go. It's time for the first boss. Now I want you guys to think for a second. Bowser was dropped in this game, so what do you think the first boss is? Well, It's this. Yep, they replaced Bowser with a giant Sphinx, and whenever you hit it with the Powerball, it sounds like it's having a frickin' stroke. And it is one of the most weird sounds I've ever heard in a Mario game in my life. It's not bad, it's not good, but yeah, it's no one's favorite boss at all. And of course, since it has to have low RAM, well, it's literally the easiest boss fight ever. Just walk right past it and it's over. Yeah, these boss fights in this game are really, really easy. And just if things can't be any more worse for our poor old Plumber Mario here, this happens. Nope, not again. We're not doing that again. It's starting to give me a migraine. Well, anyway, yeah, that's pretty much what happens in literally the final part of every single world. You see Daisy when you think it's Daisy, but no, it's just an enemy. I just realized, we probably introduced her. Well, many people already know who this is, but back in 1989, no one knew who Daisy is. The next time she was featured was in NES Open Tournament Golf a couple of years later in 1990, but she didn't really get a real starring role until Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Mario Party, and etc. But yeah, this is the first appearance of one of the most sarcastic girls in history. Go figure. Well, anyway, before we go on to the final battle, let's talk about a few more interesting stuff off before the glitch. You know what the rest of the bosses in this game are? They're kind of crazy, actually. And in fact, the entire game takes place over a couple of different worlds. There's a Thai world where it's based on China. There's this weird rural world, and it's pretty cool. And yeah, there's like another one, but I forgot what it was. But hey, they're all really, really cool. And I think that's what made this game pretty nice. It takes the ancient culture of these countries and makes them into a Mario game, which is pretty nice, I must say. Anyway, it's time for the final glitch of the game. Let's see what we got, baby. Well, I don't think it's gonna be much though, because we already established this game is easy. Well, this glitch is actually the first one where it's actually really useful. Anyway, actually, no, but who cares? Anyway, pretty much how it works is if you go into one side of the screen on the third level of the third world where you fight the Tiki boss. Actually, no, it's a Moai, but yeah, it's really the easiest thing. I just gotta go around it. But pretty much, if you manage to go in just the right spot, when he punches you, he doesn't give you damage. Instead, you get coins. Yay. Anyway, how about we go on to the final battle in the game, and I'll be honest, this is the shit. The final level of this game is actually really cool. This isn't much all of it, but basically you get to fly around a plane and break bricks. It's actually really cool for a final battle. And speaking of which, how's the final boss? Now, I know what you're thinking. Really? A cloud is the final boss? Well, dear viewer, you would be mistaken. This is what we see after killing it. Yep, you saw that right. The final battle of a desert-themed game is us fighting a giant alien in a spaceship. Named Tatanga, or Tatanga, whatever. And I'll be honest, this is actually probably the best boss fight in the game. It is just amazing. And while I would say on the entire Game Boy, we will be proven wrong in a few episodes. After defeating the Tanga, basically he dies and the entire temple just disintegrates and Mario just flies off and nothing happens. And finally, Daisy is saved. Hooray! Anyway, it's unlike in all the other times. No, she doesn't change into another enemy. We're good. And yeah, basically the game is over. Unless you count the bonus mode, but we're not talking about that. Anyway, after all that, the game ends, and you get to fly away in this space rocket thing, whatever you want to call it. Now, despite all my nitpicks, I do want to say, despite everything I said, the ending soundtrack is definitely one of the best Game Boy game themes I've ever heard, period. Yeah, despite how some of the stuff in this game isn't that good, it's all actually worth it just to get to the final battle, beat it, and just listen to this bomber of a soundtrack. It's basically Ice Ice Outpost for Mario Kart was even a thing, which we will not be talking about for now. Anyway, that's basically it for Super Mario Land, and for my final review, it was not great, but if you ever want to sit down and play a Mario game on the Game Boy but don't have a certain other game we'll talk about later, it's pretty good. It's a fun little game to play on the go, and it's very, very fun. And while I can't really say it's Mario's Land, which is going to be answered soon, well, it is still a very fun game to play, and it's a great introduction to one of the biggest stars in the series. But I'm pretty sure we're all getting into what I want to know now, that being the sales charts. Well, let's take a look. Well, in the game's lifespan, it sold 18.14 million copies, and made about $453.3 million. And if you're curious, that's $1.16 billion today. So yeah, in terms of Game Boy games, this was a huge success for Nintendo. And trust me, it's about to get much, much, much bigger. Because the next game we're going to talk about next time is considered by many fans to be not only the best game on the NES, but also the best 2D Mario game in the entire franchise. We're looking at Super Mario Bros. 3, one of the best NES games ever made. Until then, I'm Mario VR, and tune in next time as we continue to look at the legacy of Super Mario Bros.